Well, welcome to our live stream. We are going to be sharing with you tonight some awesome things that God has been doing about the expansion onto the property next to us. Let me say, just give you a kind of a way that we're going to go through this. We're going to go through all of these details because I know that there's some people that haven't seen our last week's broadcast, and so you don't have all the information. We've got brand new drone footage. We're going to be explaining things about an elite partnership and a cutoff date for that. We're going to give you an update of exactly where we are and all of the money that's come in and things like that. And tonight we are really blessed to have Billy Epperhart with us. Billy is on my board, and Billy is a real estate, what are you, a mogul, a magnet?
I'm just Billy.
He's just Billy, but he's a blessing. He's been a big part of what we're doing, and so I've got Billy Epperhart. He's from Denver, and he teaches in our Bible school and is just really involved in everything that we're doing here. And then Paul Milligan is the CEO of Wommack Ministries, and he's also the head of our business school, and he's been really involved. So I praise God for these guys. Also, we've got a third person, Larry Bozeman, who is the one who's built all of these buildings that we're doing up here, and he's a real estate man, and he's kind of the contact that's put them in touch with all the lawyers and everything. So we're going to be giving you a lot of details, maybe more details than you want, I don't know, but also you can ask questions. And so however you're looking at this, whether it's on our website, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, Twitter, I think we're on, you can just put in a comment and we'll see those comments. They'll direct them to us, and so we will be answering your questions. Hopefully, the information we give out will answer most of your questions in advance. But real quickly, let me just go through some things just real quickly. This isn't going to be in detail. If you want more detail, you can ask, and we'll be glad to provide it. But we bought this property that we're on in Woodland Park in 2009, and at the closing, the people who sold us this property told us that they had an adjacent 336 acres that was available to us if we wanted it. And of course, at the time, we spent everything we could just to get this property. But over the I guess it's been 8 years now, we've talked about this at least 5 or 6 times with them. And we've actually tried to get into some negotiations because we have 240 employees that are still in Colorado Springs, 22 miles away. And it would really be convenient to bring our employees up here. They have a building that is approximately 60,000 square feet, and we've got some footage that we're going to show you later that will show you the inside of that and the relative position of their property to ours. So anyway, we've discussed this a number of times, but it's just never been right. And one of the biggest issues for me is that I haven't wanted to go in debt for a multi-million-dollar purchase, and that's always been the stopping point. Well, just a few months ago, they came to us, and they've offered us a deal, which we will get into the details here in just a minute, but they offered us a deal where basically we could get this property without paying any interest, and we could walk at any time we want to. It's as close to getting this
without being in debt.
And without being in debt as you can be.
Right.
I mean, we will be making monthly payments until the term of it is up, but there's no interest and there's no penalty if we walk and stuff. We could walk away from it at any time. So anyway, that was the situation. And even though it was, to me, a God deal that I really felt like this was the Lord, we are spending so much money on developing all this. We've spent $70 million in the last 4.5 years building this property out that I couldn't afford to take money from this because we're still $12 million away from finishing this building that we're sitting in. And so I just said, God, how are we going to do this? And I prayed about it, and I really felt like the Lord told me that if I would share this with you, our partners, that He would just bring in the money that we need, which what the deal that I set up is for 30 months, we are going to have a lease with an option to buy. If I'm wrong on any of this, you jump in and correct me. But we're going to have a lease with an option to buy. We will put down $2 million cash to start this process, and then we will pay out $133,333.33 per month. Somebody says, who came up with that? I did. I just felt impressed of God that I had enough faith to do that, and so I'm the one that came up with this. Nobody else dictated it. And let me just give you some information, and I I know many of you want to know, did you make it? Have you made your decision? Yes, we've decided to go ahead with this deal. We've now got things back from the lawyers, and we're probably just a matter of days away from signing our letter of intent, which we give that back to the people we're purchasing this property from, and we're looking at probably somewhere around the 1st of June to actually sign the papers and enter into this lease agreement. But what we needed was this $133,333.33 per month as of this morning, which is through last night. This is current as of yesterday. We have $163,793 pledged.
Wow.
Man, and you know, it's only been, what, a month or?
4 weeks.
Is it been 4 weeks or? This is amazing. And on top of that, we've had $1,360,680 given as a one-time gift. And so I had said in my very first communication about this that the make or break thing for me was whether we got the $133,000 a month. We could take out a loan against our property in Colorado Springs and put the $2 million down, and then as we sell the building in Colorado Springs, pay that off, and we would be debt free. And even though that wasn't my first choice, I said I wouldn't be opposed to doing that. But now we have enough for the monthly payments with a little bit extra, which I think is good because I've never had 100% of the people that pledge anything come through. I don't mean to be negative, but I'm just telling you, I've been at this for 49 years and I've never seen 100% of the people come through. So anyway, we made the monthly commitment, which is great, and we're now only $639,000 away from having this. And so tonight, we're going to give you some more details about this partnership, and we would love to have you continue to give. And I believe we're very close to not taking out a loan at all, which, I mean, this is really exceeding abundantly above all I could ask or think. So I think it's really, really good. Amen. And we are going to go ahead with it. It's not a done deal yet. We got to let you know that because they have to accept all of this. And tentatively they've said okay, but it's not a completely done deal, but we're looking to sign by June the 1st or possibly even sooner than that. So have you guys got anything to add to that? Did I do it correctly?
Man, you hit it. You nailed
it.
it.
They've been coaching me.
You nailed it. I think, for people that are accustomed to real estate deals, just about every detail has been negotiated. So a lot of times when you enter in, you get it under contract, and then you do a whole lot of due diligence. We've been doing a lot of the detailed due diligence in this process. They've allowed us access to the property, as well as we've had a lot of discussions that typically don't happen at the level that we've had them. So there's a lot of details worked out.
You're saying this because you are a real estate guy.
Yeah,
You've
right.
done these deals many times.
And I've been in most of those negotiations. In fact, Paul and I were in Australia. We were gone, so we missed. But leading up to this point and point today, we've been very actively involved. So we know from a real estate perspective that most all the things have been ironed out. So there's no big catch-22 out there.
So even though we can't say it's a done deal and there's still some things to be done, we are very confident that everything's going through. The big issue with me was I just couldn't justify stopping what God's already told me to do and what our partners have helped us get this far. I couldn't take money and divert it towards this, even though it was a God opportunity. So I felt like if it was God, the people would respond. And you know what? You have done awesome. For those of you who are partners with this, I just want to say thank you because I believe that this is a big deal. I really do. And I believe it's bigger than what we know right now. Matter of fact, one of the things I came away with, this is going to give us a total of 493 acres. And I'm thinking God must have some really big plans for Charis Bible College to give us all of this. And it's not really something that I've pursued. It's just fallen in our lap.
Yeah, it came to you.
And the people are wanting to know how they can give.
All right. So we are going to give you some more information on this, but let me say that we had to have the people who gave towards this be separated. And I also made it very clear that I couldn't have anybody divert, like, for instance, their Grace Partnership or a foundation builder or any of those things towards this because that would have been robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so I came up with a new partnership that I call the Elite Partnership. And the reason I came up with that name, I was just looking. I had that word come to me. I looked it up in the dictionary, and elite means a small but powerful group. And I thought, man, that is exactly what we need to get this done. So we have an elite partnership, and we had to put some criteria on this because we've had some people that have given just a few dollars, which again, we appreciate every single gift. But we're going to do some special things for the people who help us with this expansion. And so we put some criteria down, and here's what it is. It's people who give $133.33 per month for 30 months, or a one-time gift of $4,000 or more, which if you were to take $133.33 for 30 months, it comes out to $3,999 and I think 69 cents. So it was just real close to the 4,000. So anybody who gives a 4,000 one-time gift or makes a pledge to do $133,000, or excuse me, well, that would be great too, but $133.33 per month for 30 months, that qualifies you for an elite partner. And so there's a couple of things that are going to happen. This is an angel that a friend of mine, Mark Patrick, sculpted, and it's actually a large angel. Matter of fact, I've got the dimensions here someplace, and it's actually, where are they? Do you guys see them? It's a 6.
Right here.
I'm looking for the big one.
57 tall.
Oh, there you go. Thank you, Billy. See, that's the reason we got Billy around.
That's exactly
It's
right.
57 inches tall, 75 inches wide, and 52 inches deep. So this is about a 6-foot angel called the Defender, and it is awesome. And my 2002 or 2003 graduating class at Charis Bible College bought this as a gift for the Bible College, and it's in our facility down in Colorado Springs. We are going to bring this up to the property here that we're buying, and there is a roundabout there. Could you guys put up that picture that has this roundabout? This is a artist rendition of what this is going to look like, and we're going to put it on a pedestal, and then we are going to have the names of our elite partners put on here. It'll be on 4 sides of this pedestal right here, and it's in a roundabout. And we'll be showing you that in just a second when we do this drone flyover, and I'll show that to you. But I think that this is going to be great. And we're going to say on there, if I can read this, it says, in honor of our elite partners who made Charis Village possible. That's what we were going to call this.
Wow.
And so, anyway, it's going to be a great thing. And everyone who is an elite partner, a person that gives a one-time gift of $4,000 or more, or a person who commits to $133.33 or more for 30 months, gets this little 6-inch Defender angel sent to them. So this is just to say thank you, because I really believe that this is big. You know, right now, I'm excited about it, but I think it's going to take decades for us to really know what God had in mind when He gave us all this property and what's going to happen. And I think that for generations to come, people are going to be impacted. They are going to see what God has done here, and they're going to just be amazed. And those of you who become partners with us are the ones who made all of it possible. So whatever you're watching, there's a place for you to give. You can go to our website, and if you look on our page right there where you can watch this broadcast, it says donate now or become a partner, and you can sign up right there, and we'd love to have that.
Let me answer a couple of questions, Andrew, about giving. Chris from Australia is asking, how does she do her Elite Partner Program commitment via the web? You just need to go to awmi.net, because she's in Australia. That's the reason she's asking this question. Go to awmi.net, and then when you pay out to make your commitment, there's a drop-down box, and you can choose Australia. And that way you can give in Australian currency. And then Frank from New York asked a good question. He said, what about those who transact by check? What do we do? Well, you need to mail your check in, and you can get do we need to give them the address, you think, or do we just need to?
Well, we can give it to them. It's Post Office Box 3333, Colorado Springs, Colorado 80934.
Okay, can we put that on the screen, Jeff, or do we need to tell them? Tell them again.
Also, if you have any questions and if you want to talk to somebody and have a conversation with them, you can call us at 719-635-1111. And we have people answering the phones right now that they've been versed in all of this. They have all of this information, and they can probably answer your questions or direct you to an appropriate place
Let's
to get
give
your
the
questions
address one
answered.
more time. They won't even.
The address is Post Office Box 3333. Now, it kind of goes along with $133.
Hey, right in there.
Holy Ghost, Father, Son, Holy. Anyway, it's Post Office Box 3333, Colorado Springs, Colorado 80934. And our phone number is area code 719-635-1111.
Andrew Sal wants you to know that he hopes there's so many people giving to this, you run out of room on the statue, on the angel,
Well,
to put
you
their
know,
names.
we have thought about that. We just have to put them real small, or I don't know. We can put. We will accommodate it. And let me also say that we've had a few people contact us and say they don't want their name on this, and they don't want the little angel. And I understand if you just want to give and be a part of it, but you don't want any of these things, that's fine. And if you'll let us know, we will accommodate you. That's no problem. But I wanted to do something to just say thank you. And this statue that we're going to put in this roundabout, I think is really going to be significant because it will command people's attention. When you drive up, we'll show you this in just a few minutes with this drone footage, but when you drive up, you're going to see this. It will draw people's attention to it. And when they read it, I think it's just going to be a constant reminder that if it wasn't for these people who joined with us, that we couldn't have made this possible. And so, you know, I've written a letter that we're just now beginning to get proofed and send out. But I started it by saying, we did it. And then the next sentence says, you did it. And then the next sentence says, God did it. And it's all three of the above. It was all of us together, but it was God. And I believe that this is really going to be significant, and there's going to be people's lives changed, not only the ones who come here, but, you know, Charis Bible College is reaching all over the world. Billy just got back from Uganda, and anyway, we won't spend the whole time talking about that, but you got to meet with government officials.
Right, I'm the president's brother and the minister of finance and special advisor to the president.
And Billy and his group, in association with our people over there, they are already investing more money in microfinance than all of the Ugandan government is.
Right.
And they just came aware of this, and because of it, they are asking us to just do whatever.
That's right.
I've got to meet with President Museveni and his wife, and they have given us all the support. So anyway, my point is that Charis is reaching all over the world, but this is just the headquarters for it. God's got big plans. And I tell you, it's going to be a huge, huge deal. So let me say that even though I've already made the decision to do this because we're close enough, tonight, if we had, I think it's 160 people that would either give the monthly commitment for 30 months of $133.33 for 30 months, or if we had 160 people that gave a one-time gift of $4,000, did you know we wouldn't have to take out any loan? We could pay this thing off quicker. And you guys might need to address some of this, but the way we're entering into this, we have a lease with an option to buy that right now is structured for 30 months, but it really is tied to the amount of money. We're going to put $2 million down, and when we accumulate $4 million in these lease payments, at that time we exercise our option to buy and we get the deed. And we can start building and doing things like that.
Yeah, 100% of the lease payment goes to the price. So it's not like we're not really paying a lease, but we are paying a lease.
And people are asking about interest too, Andrew. There is no interest in any part of this deal.
Which is one of the big things with me, and that's the reason that this thing drug on for 8 years, is because I was just unwilling to go in debt. And I mean, how do you get somebody to give you a multiple $1-million property with no interest?
No interest. That's God. I mean, God's hands on it.
Let me answer this question really quick because people are writing checks or wanting to know. Make out your check. If you're writing a check, make the check out to Andrew Wommack Ministries, and then in the memo, put Sturman Project. Just put Sturman, S-T-U-R-M-A-N Project on your check and mail it to the address that Andrew gave on earlier. And that'll be good. Then they're asking a question about the interest. I think we've answered that. And also let me address something. Some of you are asking about the purchase price. We can't reveal that because we've signed a non-disclosure agreement with the sellers. And you can understand that if this deal doesn't go through and we put the purchase price out there, then their next buyer would expect at least that same price and maybe the same kind of deal, which would be unreasonable and not good for the sellers. So we've agreed not to reveal that price. There'll come a time when we can reveal that, and we'll let you know what that is.
And I've actually asked them for some concessions because they didn't want us to reveal that it's no interest for the same obvious reasons, that if the deal didn't go through, their next buyer might feel like they need the same deal. But to me, I have said so much, I've been so vocal about living in God's best and not going in debt, that I actually had some people that when we first mentioned this, they said they were going to quit being partners with us because I broke my word and I was going in debt. And so I thought, I've got to let the people know. And I went back and asked them, and they were very gracious to let us say that. But they've made some concessions just for us to say what we already said.
The Stearns have been absolutely great in this whole deal.
And they love us, and we love them, and they really want us to have the property.
They do. They're quality people.
It's a God deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Andrew, Rob wants you to build an RV park on the property.
Did you know I had somebody else ask, and I told them that the business school has already come up with that idea.
We're looking at it. We actually have a guy in our business school this year who's running an RV park as a manager while he's in college, and he has experience. He's done a business plan this year for that. And so we're looking looking very strongly at that.
So we know that we have people coming on all the time. So let me say, if you've just joined us, that we have decided to go through with purchasing this property next to us that has a 60,000 square foot building on it, and we are just a day or two away from signing our letter of intent. It has to be approved, and then we are projecting signing the papers to actually make this transaction complete around the 1st of June or before. So we've got enough money that I've already decided to go ahead and do it, but we're still about $639,000 short of having it completely paid for so that we won't have to take out a loan at all. And tonight, I would just love to invite you, if you haven't become a part of this, to become a part. And we have this elite partnership that is either a one-time gift of $4,000 or a monthly commitment for 30 months to $133.33. And if you meet one of those two criteria or go above that, well, then you will become an elite partner, and you get one of these little 6-inch Defender Angels, and you get your name put on this, and so it's going to be a blessing. Let's go ahead and show the drone footage. This is new video that they just produced a couple of days ago, and this will give you a really good vision of what's happening. So you see in the red right there, that's the current 157 acres that we have called the sanctuary. The part in blue is called the Sturman's property. That's the people that own it. And that's 336 acres. And you can see the green line between the two. That's 0.62 miles, exactly 1 kilometer between our buildings and the Sturman buildings. So now you see the drone panning around, and it's to the south of our buildings looking back towards the north, and this will show you the two buildings that we've spent just under $70 million on in the last 4.5 years. The building in the bottom left-hand corner is what I call the barn. It's 72,000 square feet. We already occupy that. That's where our school's meeting. The building with the white roof, that's what I call the auditorium. Really creative names. And it's 150,000 square feet. So as we fly north, looking north now, you can see the Sturman building in the clearing that's past this road. This is CR 25 that runs in between our two properties, but our property goes all the way down to that road, and their property comes down there. So these are adjacent properties. This building that you're looking at now is what we call the Sturman building, and it's actually on the southern portion of this property. So the vast majority of this property goes way north. I'm not sure how far, but probably close to over a quarter, maybe a half a mile north of that. So this building is located kind of on the southern part. If you look down in the bottom left-hand side of your screen, you see that roundabout with a couple of trees and a flag on it. That's where we're going to put this angel that has our elite partners' names on it, and it'll be right there at the entrance to this building. And I believe it's going to be just a great constant reminder. We will come back and we'll show you some interior shots of the Sturman building. But again, now we've panned back south, and you can see the sanctuary up there in the top part of your screen. And as it pans up a little bit, you can see a little bit of Pikes Peak up there. It's kind of a bright day and you can't see it well, but it's a beautiful, beautiful view. Way down in the very left-hand corner, you just got a real close glimpse. That's the entrance to our property. We have a security gate. We have a lodge that just went out of the left side of the screen over there, and it was a $2.5 to $3 million lodge that was on this property when we got it. And then you see the buildings that we have been building, and we're now 80% through with that second building. So we're about just under $12 million away from having that finished. And then where you see these cars parked on the north side, on this side of that building, that's where we will put a parking garage that will have 1,085 spaces in it right there. And it'll be 5 stories tall, 2 stories below ground. It'll be the same height as that building, and it's going to be awesome. We really need that parking garage. So now we'll go inside this Sturman building. This is the building that we'll be acquiring. It's about 60,000 square feet. This is on the 3rd level as you walk in. That's the entryway. And you'll notice that for those of you who've ever been to our sanctuary, it's very similar construction. It's a lot of wood, it's beams, it's open just like you see in that shot right there. And it's a very similar construction. It's a little bit more modern in the sense that you have some steel and some of the ductwork showing and things like that, but it's very compatible. And Paul, you were talking about that open concept, that this is really advantageous.
Yeah, that's kind of the new corporate design they call it collaborative spaces, where people can work in teams better. You don't have individual offices, but you're just kind of out there in the open space.
And this is actually 4 stories. This is from the 2nd story where there was a break room looking down into the bottom level. This is the 1st story, and this is where our production and television studio will go and things like that. Then the 2nd story was where that break room was, some conference things. This is the third floor, and this is the main level where you walk in. That's also on the 3rd floor. And then there's a 4th, that's the 3rd level also. And this shows you some of the offices and cubicles. This is on the 4th level, and this is a conference room. This is the 4th level with a sitting area. And if you turn around and look the opposite direction from right there, this is that view, looking over into the 3rd level where most of that space is. So this is just a beautiful building, and I don't know if you noticed, I think, I don't know if we'll show that or not. But anyway, here it is. This is what I was thinking of. If you look at it, there's decks on the 3rd level nearly all the way around this building, and it's got this beautiful view. You can see the sanctuary is labeled up there in the upper right-hand corner. So this is going to be absolutely awesome. And again, we've made the decision to go ahead and do this. We're still $639,000 away from having the entire deal, the $2 million down and the monthly payments. And so there's still room for you to become an elite partner. And I tell you, I believe this is going to be awesome. Let me just say, I consider this to not even be a possibility at the moment, but I guess in the natural it is, that we haven't signed the papers yet. It's not final. And we did have somebody ask what would happen if something happened and the deal fell through. I'll refund every single person's money. We've got all of your details, and I'll refund it. But I don't think that's going to happen. From our perspective, it's a done deal. Right. They've tentatively agreed, and it's just working out the details. And so I think it's a done deal.
I know we've got a couple of people that are asking, Nancy from Toronto and Joseph, they want to know about a hotel, if you'll build a hotel over there.
You know, I've thought about it, and I can't say that I will, but I'm certainly not going to say that I won't. I've really been waiting on the community to step up and do this, and they've got some things planned, but they haven't done it yet. And, you know, that could be something that we do, because we are out of space, and we have people that have to drive 15 miles into Colorado Springs to get accommodations when we have services. Right now, our barn has a capacity of 1,200 people upstairs, and then we use closed-circuit TV and show it downstairs. But we can accommodate maybe, 15 to 1,700 is just maxing out the barn. This building that we're sitting in is what I call the auditorium, and we've already occupied 25% of it, about 30-something thousand square feet. But when we get the auditorium finished, it will seat 3,200 people. So if we've had accommodation problems now, And when we get fully functional with 3,000 people here, that may be a real valid thing. I'm not saying I won't do it, but I just couldn't tell you that I'm going to do it yet.
Let me get to a couple of questions here. One thing is, for you that are asking about, you want to send a registered check, you can't do that to a post office box. I'm going to give you the address you can send it to. It's 850 Elkton Drive. That's Elkton, 850 Elkton Drive, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 80907. One more time, 850 Elkton Drive, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 80907. And Andrew, we've got somebody asking if they're already a grace partner and they want to become an elite partner, do they donate to both partnerships? And you kind of addressed that a little earlier, but
well, you certainly can. I mean, if we have people that, like, say, for instance, are a $30 a month grace partner, and they decide, well, I'm just going to up it 100 and make it 133, and they quit their grace partnership or roll it over towards this elite partnership, that hurts us. Because the main thing that I'm wanting to do is not stop any of the building that we're doing. And if people take money from one partnership and roll it into the elite partnership, it's going to hurt me. And this is a little bit off topic, but the reason I'm motivated to do this is because in 2016, I averaged spending $830,000 a month on construction. And at the end of December, I think Paul told me we were down to less than 24 hours worth of money left, which is not good. So with my wife's encouragement, strong encouragement, I made a decision that that's no way to run a multi-million-dollar ministry. And so I backed off to only spending $500,000 a month, which is still a lot of money, but it's extended the completion date, and that's just as far as I'm willing to go. I'm not going to go below $500,000 a month. And if people take money that we're using for the partnership of everything else we're doing and put it towards this, I wouldn't be able to continue this. So it really needs to be money that would not have come to us any other way. Otherwise, it's not accomplishing what we need.
once again, 100% of our lease payments during the lease period, 100% of those payments go against the purchase price of the property. So that answers that question. And Andrew, I want to answer a spiritual question here. We've got a lady that's asking, she said, I'd love to become an elite partner, but my husband would never allow a monthly donation that large. I'm already a monthly partner. How do I reconcile being obedient to my husband and my desire to further God's kingdom? Which do I obey? Well, somebody might disagree with me, but the way I answer that question is, God knows what's in your heart, and according to the Word, I think God would expect you to be in agreement with your husband. If your husband is against it, then I don't think you should give.
I agree.
I don't think you should by no means deceive your husband. If he's not going to agree with it, you don't do it. And here's what I believe about that. God knows that's in your heart, and God will give you credit for that just as though you did it yourself, because you're obeying God's Word in another area.
And I would say that if you have a good relationship with your husband, you ought to sit down and talk to him and say, this is what I feel God wants me to do, and see if he would be willing. But if it's, your money, your family's money, well, you can't take his money if he doesn't want to give it. That's the wrong thing. So I would just try and share it with him. But if he says no, I don't think I would do it. Your marriage is more important than you becoming an elite partner.
Absolutely.
Although we would love to have it.
Let me address something like several people are at. Here's what we would like to do. Those of you that are asking about when should you start your giving, if you will start it immediately, I think one man here said he's already set up his donation. When does he need to start sending it? It would help us if you do that immediately. So go ahead and start sending the money in. That allows us to get money together for the down payment, the $2 million down payment, and it allows us to collect that money before we actually have to put the money down when the time comes. So the answer to that question is, as soon as possible, go ahead and start your giving.
Along those lines, let me have Billy answer this, but we are wanting to come up with a $6 million, in a sense, down payment, and we're doing this through this lease period. But my point is that if you give and start giving now, and if we had more than $133,333, we can pay this off and execute our option, and that's to our advantage.
Yeah, so basically 100% to back up the lease payment piece. It's called a lease payment, but technically every penny goes to reaching that $6 million down payment, as it were, and that's why it was structured as a lease option. So there's no money being wasted going to a lease or anything like that. 100% is going to the $6 million. So the quicker the $6 million comes in, then the quicker we go to the non-recourse installment agreement where the title comes to.
And so that goes to Paul's statement that if they start giving now, even though we
Right.
may not make our first payment until June or July, whenever it is, it just gives us that much more money. It'll execute it a month earlier or something like that.
Yeah, because what we're really trying to reach is that $6 million.
Yes. And when we do that, we actually get the deed to the property.
That's
You
right. So
explain all this.
Yeah, so when we do the $6 million, we enter into what's called a non-recourse installment agreement, and basically in real estate, we receive clear title to the property, and of course then the seller receives a deed of trust. So we take the title, they get a deed of trust on the title, and it's identical to when someone goes and purchases a home and they get a mortgage on their home and they put a down payment of whatever they put down, and then that's their house. They can do what they want to it.
But the difference is they're paying interest.
They're paying
and
interest.
I'm not paying any interest.
You're not paying
This is a God deal.
And the other difference is you can walk away, and a person
That's
with a
right.
mortgage can't just
You
walk
might
away.
explain that. Well,
Yeah, and that's the reason it's called non-recourse. So there's beautiful language. I don't know if you could call it beautiful, but I call it beautiful because it's very well structured by the attorneys. There's great language in the agreement where at any point, because you don't want to be in debt, so at any point you can walk away from the deal, and there's absolutely no negative effect other than the fact that you're walking away from the property. But we know that's not going to happen in reality. But you want it so you don't want to be in debt.
To me, and this may be incorrect, but to me, when you're in debt, the Bible says the borrower is servant to the lender.
Right.
And you become in bondage to them, that if something was to happen, and God forbid, I'm not saying and confessing anything's going to happen to me, but if it did, and all of a sudden the money quit flowing in, I wouldn't want to put everything that God has done in my life at jeopardy.
Right.
And so this is the reason that I've just refused to go in debt. And with this, we could actually walk away at any time if a worst case scenario happened, which is not going to happen. But it just, I believe, is a godly way to do it.
We're getting some interesting comments here, Andrew. I'll share a couple of them. Stacy is saying this is so exciting to see how God is providing. The joy of watching God provide for something this big is so encouraging.
It's awesome.
And then Chia is saying that I'm really excited about this project, seeing how God works things out for good to those who love Him. And Frank's got an interesting comment from New York. Frank's wanting to know when you're going to buy Pikes Peak.
I don't think it's for sale, or I might. No.
He's saying that the Lord said to occupy the high places. I don't think He said to occupy the high. I think it's to tear the high places down.
Hey, Paul, would you give just a real condensed testimony about the people you were telling me about from California who were homeless and now they're
Yes, Andrew and I were recently in Riverside, California for GTS there. And I got to minister to a young couple who were homeless, and they actually just moved to that area and were living with a relative. And he was a guy in construction. He built swimming pools, and he was having a hard time getting his business started. And they were out of money, and they were just there to just to believe God for provision. And so I prayed with him. And yesterday I got a long email from him. And after we had left, I'd given him some teaching that I had there on finances. And he said that in the 3.5 months since we were there, he's gotten 7 contracts to build pools that have profited him about $70,000.
Wow.
And that God said this was the source.
Now that was profit.
That's profit. That's
not,
profit.
Not total
That's
revenue.
correct.
Right. That's awesome.
And he said God told him that this, your ministry is where that's where that seed was planted, and he's given the tithe back to the ministry in the Sturman Project.
That's
so
awesome.
they told me he was going to do that today. That's just awesome.
It is awesome.
So we are going to go outside and show you from here how you look over there. You can see it from right here out on this balcony. And then we're going to come back. We're going to summarize this again because I know that people come and go and not everybody's watching. We're going to explain the partnership, tell you exactly where we are, how you can participate, and wind this up. But I just want to step outside with you guys and show them where this Sturman building is and the property is in relation to the auditorium that we're in. So we're going to head out there. If they'll just follow us outside. All right. So it's cleared up. It was snowing a little bit earlier.
Beautiful. Look,
It's beautiful right now, but you can see the Sturman building right over my shoulder here. And the property goes up to those towers, down that ridge. It's just a beautiful piece of property. And while we're out here, if you can see that blue trash container out there, that's how far out the parking garage will stick. It'll be 2 stories below, 3 above, and so it will stick out beyond that, and it will have 1,085 cars. So this is an awesome facility that God has given us. It'll give us a total of 493 acres. And I've got plans that I think, honestly, is going to utilize all of it. I think God's got great plans. So that's awesome.
That's awesome, man. We've structured to do all those plans.
Amen.
Legally to do all that stuff.
And there's some other things about, you know, some of the property on the very north end of the Sturman's property that you said is already zoned for development.
Yes, it's
Let's go back in. It's cold out here. So,
it's cold out here.
Sunshine.
so we're going to go back in. The sun's shining. It's beautiful, but it's a little cold for just a long sleeve shirt.
It's a little chilly out.
So anyway, before I summarize everything again and tell you where we are, Paul, the northern end of this property has already been zoned so that we could develop it and we could actually have revenue come in.
Yes, we have. There's 35 acres that's outside the gate. It's on the left as you go out the gate, the front gate of the property. And during the negotiations, Billy and I were hard at, we want that 35 acres included because it's already PUD'd or approved for one, I think it's, is it half acre or 1 acre? I think it's 1 acre.
Basically 1 acre.
1 acre
per property.
35 different lots that these are higher end homes. There's another housing addition right next to it called Majestic Park, which is a very high end
Gated community.
gated community. That's correct.
Homes, yeah.
And so the only thing we'd have to do, here's the nice thing about it. We got the property included the price was right. I can't reveal that, but it was very good. And the reason for that is because there's a water loop utility that has to be connected to that property, and it's not done yet. So we're going to do that. We connect that utility, then we can develop those homes in that property and we can make a lot of money if we do this right.
Yeah, at the time, it'll be worth 4 times more.
Billy
than
knows
what
more
they've
about
been
this
selling
than,
it.
yeah.
So, you know, again, we aren't free to disclose everything because the deal's not done. But let me just say that these 2 guys, along with Larry Bozeman, have been invaluable to us, and I really value their opinion on this, especially Billy has been in real estate, and you do a lot of big deals in real estate for many years and has become a millionaire doing it. I mean, you're a success at it, and in your opinion, is this a good deal?
I think it's an outstanding deal. I think the property for future, sincerely, for where Woodland Park itself is headed and growing, the value of this property at the time, let's say 10 years from now, the value of that property could easily be worth 2 to 3 times. That's not any embellishment. 2 to 3 times of what we're actually paying for it.
And the main thing is it just gives us the ability to do whatever God leads me to do. I don't have to
RV
dream
park,
slow.
Motel.
You know, we have
Student
a plan for putting in student housing, and we have 11 lodges already planned. We've got some artist rendering of it, and then we've got some fourplexes designed, I think 9 of those, and we've already got those placed on this 157 acres that we currently own. But I can tell you that that's pushing it with this 157 acres because of the topography and stuff. And so when this is one of the reasons I've always been interested in that property is because now we could spread it out. And like I said, we've already talked about having a Caris Village where you have this student housing spread out. And we for certain are going to put in a student activities center where we can feed all of the students that are on property, and it'll be an assembly point for them and things like that. And when we have conferences, it will be really beneficial to feed and facilitate everything. But then in the future, and these are things that I haven't pulled the trigger on, I'm not saying for sure I'm going to do it, but I honestly think that God wants me to develop this into like a university. We probably won't ever change the name because we wouldn't qualify, I don't think, according to those standards. But I want everything like not only the student housing and an activity center, but I mean a sports complex. We could have a chapel here where students could be holding their own meetings and ministering. We could have a performing arts theater because our creative arts is taking off. And the facility that we have, even though it's got a large state, it's not really built for theatrical stuff. So this could just open up the door.
Wide open.
To all kinds of things. And I have thought about a hotel. I don't know that I'd ever do it. But I mean, whatever the needs are, this is going to enable us to just dream with no restrictions. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's the beauty of the property. I think people that haven't been here to see the mountains and the majestic. That's where having that extra acreage is so important because you can spread out the buildings and do the things, keep the natural beauty.
And this was one thing when we bought this property. I specifically said I do not want to put cheap-looking buildings on this property because man, God gave us some of the most beautiful property that I believe you could possibly have. And then if I junked it up, I don't think that would be good stewardship. So I think the Lord must think the same way. That's why He gave us all this extra acreage. You got any other questions?
Yeah, let me get to a couple of these questions. Sally's asking about making a payment with a credit card. Absolutely, you can use your credit card. Go to awmi.net, and you'll see a place there. If you're watching us right now live on the page, on the website, that you'll see a button there where you can give. You just go to that button, and when you check out, you can use your credit card there. Someone's asking, can I send 1 year's $133.33 now and then start the $133.33 a month for the next 18 months? I think the easy way to answer that question, Andrew, is if you want to become an elite partner, you can give $133.33 a month for the next 30 months or $4,000 one-time gift. So any combination of the way you want to give, as long as it equals $4,000, you become an elite partner. And then one lady, Andrew, wants to know if she can, she's wondering why, if she can give $50 a month because she can't afford to do the $133.33. This would be in addition to her. She's already a regular partner. Can she just give $50 a month? Of course.
You can certainly give, but we aren't going to consider that one of the elite partners. Which it's not that we don't appreciate your gift. But we sat down and discussed this. We've got some people that have given $5, and that's all they can do. And from God's standpoint, man, the Lord, that's great. But for one thing, we can't put 5,000 people's names on this thing. We can't send out 5,000 of these little angels and stuff. And so we just had to come up with the criteria, and that's what we established. I hope nobody takes offense at that. It's not that we don't value your gift. I really do, and I understand. And this is one of the reasons that I call this partnership an elite partnership, is because I'm aware that not everybody can give $133 a month. And so this is a small but powerful group, and God just assured me that there were people who could do it, and so that's the way we're running it.
I've had several people ask this same question. Let me address it, Andrew. We addressed this in the last live stream. A lot of people are asking about the time frame on when we would move our employees from Colorado Springs up here to Woodland Park to the new Sturman building. Well, the answer to that is that we have to give the Sturmans 8 months to get out of the building that they're in so that we could move in. So what that means is if we closed on June the 1st, for instance, then 8 months from June the 1st is the earliest that we can start refurbishing the building and get it ready for our use. So if we just had to guess today, it's probably another 12 to 14 months before we could actually move in.
Yeah, because that would be, if close on June the 1st, that's February the 1st that we could actually move in, and then we've got to do some remodel, which is 4 to 6 months, so summer of 2018.
Yes, but that is and several people are also asking, so what are you thinking about, Andrew, would be the purpose of the Sturman property, and why is this such a good deal for the ministry?
Well, we've mentioned that. Maybe that's a person that hadn't been watching, but right now what we've already committed to building on this property is totally maxed out on the 157 acres, and I've actually got dreams far beyond just the student housing and the activity center. I've got a dream of putting in a sports complex, possibly a performing arts theater, and just spreading out the things so that it's not all just built right here on just a few acres. And plus, one of the main advantages right now is bringing our 240 employees who still are in Colorado Springs, 22 miles away, and bringing them up here. And Paul could tell you better than I could, but it's a problem trying to manage people. And if you have to go between the two places, which we've got Karen Conrad sitting right here, and she does it a lot.
Yeah.
It's 30 minutes plus between the two places. And to be driving up here for a meeting and down there and stuff, it's just convenient to put everybody together. So altogether, I think we now have 650 employees worldwide. We have probably, 500 and something here in the States, and
Yes.
they're nearly equally split between Colorado Springs and up here at the moment. We get that building, we'll bring everybody up here.
Right.
Be really convenient.
Andrew, people are wanting to know, once the 30 months is up and we've got the $6 million done, where's the rest of the money going to come from?
Well, here's my logic on that. I know, see, we're increasing and growing at an exponential rate. Since Paul has taken over and been our CEO for 3 years, I think it is, have we doubled in income? We've increased a bunch. Close to double in 3 years. And so our income keeps going up. And here's the way that I prayed about it. We are going to have payments beyond this 30 months. But if I can get people to get me in and get this $6 million down payment, our payments are going to increase just a few tens of thousands. I don't want to give away the amount because you could figure it out and multiply it times the number of months and come up with the sale price, which we said we wouldn't do. But it's going to increase very little, and I know that 2.5 years from now, I'll have the income to be able to sustain it and continue to do it. And so there is going to be a little increase, but it's really insignificant. It's a small portion compared to what we're already committed to.
You know, Beverly from Chicago made a good comment. She's talking about your commitment to financial stewardship and how that affects what God can do. And they're talking about how unbelievable this deal is. Several
awesome.
people are talking. You know, I just want to address that for just a minute because, you know, Andrew, I remember coming in 1996 when things weren't in as good a shape as they are today.
He's being kind. It was pitiful. It was pitiful. He told me we're broke on paper, and he says, you ought to close the doors.
But, you know, but you made a decision at that point in time that you were going to be a good steward. And you didn't really know a lot about business and the business print. And that was the only part that was missing in your ministry was the business aspect of running a ministry. Well, since you've done that, it's just been onward and upward. I mean, God has continued to bless your stewardship. And I, you know, some of our partners have heard me say this before, but I want you guys to know we work hard every day to make sure we're stewarding every dime that you send us. It's important to us. It represents a part of your life. You're actually giving a part of your life into this ministry. And we have to be good stewards of that and take that very serious. And that's why we employ state-of-the-art management techniques to make sure that we're being efficient in this ministry. And so you're right, Beverly, when you say financial stewardship allows God to bless us like this. And we just want to thank God for His blessing. It's just incredible. And
let me say again that if we were to take out a loan on this, I had my CFO tell me that we would have paid $13 million in interest, and that's at a lower rate than what we could get today. If you were to pay, I think she figured out if it was 4.5% interest, it would have been over $17 million, and we are saving that. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, Andrew, people are talking about God performing this miracle in your ministry is letting them see firsthand what you've been talking about when you teach and preach on how God told you you were limiting Him by your small thinking. And people are sitting here saying, this is allowing me to think big. This is incredible. You might want to address what I'm talking about.
And you know, another thing that I've thought about, I just came out with a book, Living in God's Best. And the very first chapter, I was saying the reason people don't get God's best is because they can live with less. And I used specifically going in debt. And I said, it's not sin to go in debt, but it is not God's best.
That's right.
And you know what? This was the big stickler. You know this guy, I forget his name, but the banker that has had his life changed through our ministry, this guy's chomping at the bits to loan me money because he wants to be a blessing. Plus, it's a good deal, and we are in, our assets are, the last I saw is over $74 million of assets.
That's correct.
That's on the books.
And people would loan me, they could loan me $60 million in a blink of an eye. I could do it, but it's not God's best. And I just stuck with that. And 2 or 3 months ago, these people just came to us and said, we want to give this to you with no interest. And I'm telling you, it's because we shot for God's best.
And you know, Andrew, I want to point out that several times we've been in negotiations with the Sturmans over these last 3 to 4 or 5 years, and every time you would say, let's leave it alone. It's not what God told me. That's not what we're going to do. Let's just be patient. And we'll just go away, and next thing you know, they're calling us back and talking to us about it again.
Yeah.
And we waited and we were patient and let God work this out, and look at the result. When
They
you wait
not
on
only
God.
came down from the original offer, but they're now doing it debt free.
Debt free.
I mean,
and
it's,
interest free.
it's just amazing, and I tell you.
And the other thing on the
great
interest, I
testimony.
think that's big, and I won't say the amount, but if you reverse the interest, the fact that we're not paying interest, that means we're actually paying a lot less for the property if you do what's called net present value. Now, not to get too technical,
Yeah, you
just-
mentioned that to me, and it went right over my head.
But
I believe
the
it.
exciting thing about it is the kind of deal. It just goes to the fact that this is an outstanding real estate deal, and it's the blessings of God because you waited on it.
So let me just summarize here. We need to close this down, but we did decide to go through with this purchase of the property next to us because we needed $133,333.33 a month in payments, and I was willing to take out a $2 million loan to put down, and we would pay that off as we sold our building down in Colorado Springs and take that profit to pay this off so that it would be no debt. I was willing to do that, even though that wasn't the very best, but then I went and presented this to my partners, and we've already come out with $33,000 more per month pledged than what the minimum amount was, and we are only $639,000 away from having the entire $2 million down. And I believe right now people are saying that they want to contribute. And I'm believing that, honestly, we aren't going to have to take out any money against anything when we sell our building down in the Springs. That'll just be cash that we can use to further what God's telling me to do. So anyway, we decided to go through with it. There is still room for you to become a partner. Like I said, if we had 160 people that would commit to this $133.33 per month for 30 months, or people who would give $4,000 one-time gift or more, then this would be totally wiped out, and it's just a great deal. And by doing that, you become an elite partner, which we're taking this 6-foot-tall angel that we have down in Colorado Springs that our students gave to us back in, I think it was 2002, 2003, and we're putting it on a pedestal, and we're going to say thanks to our elite partners who made Caris Village possible. We're going to put your names on here just as a thank you, and something that when you come and see this, you'll be able to say, I was a part of that. And also, everybody who meets that, we're going to send out this little 6-inch angel, the Defender. And this is really awesome. I don't think you can really see it, but this isn't a wimpy angel. This is a man's kind of angel, and got a sword in his hand. And anyway, this is great. I've got these things at home, and you'll be blessed by it. And so we just want to thank you. And I really believe that this is probably one of the greatest provisions that God has ever supplied in my life. I mean, this is huge. And just 2 months ago, it was impossible. It was absolutely impossible. And we've had people that have been giving towards this. Like I said, we've put nearly $70 million in 4.5 years into assets above our normal expenses. It is phenomenal what God has done.
Wow.
I think you were talking about this banker saying that he was just blown away as he saw our, what did you call it, return on assets?
Return on assets.
And people that are in the financial realm are absolutely amazed at what is happening. And all of that has happened in the last 4 or 5 months. And so in a sense, you could look at it and think, well, man, where would any extra come from? You've been having so much come in for all of this. But as I saw this was an opportunity from God, I thought, if this is really a God deal, He'll just enable people to enable us to take advantage of it, and I presented it, and in 1 month's time, 4 weeks' time, we basically raised $6 million, some of it in pledges, but $6 million in 4 weeks' time, and I just praise God, and I also want to thank you. I really wish that somehow or another I could get it across that this isn't my ministry. I'm not building my legacy. This is not, it doesn't matter to me. I was telling my students just the other day that I drove in and saw the entrance to the Sturman's place and they still had their for sale sign up. And I said, if the deal falls through, I'm not going to lose any sleep. It doesn't matter to me. I don't have to have this to love God and to do things, but I just feel like it's a God opportunity and I'm following Him. This isn't something that I've begged for and asked God for. I think God has given me the privilege and asked me to do it. And so I'm just really thankful, and I want to thank all of you and say you are awesome. And praise God, this isn't about buildings or just property. It's about changed lives all over the world, and you are making an investment that in heaven you're going to have people come up to you and thank you and hug you and kiss you for putting this money into this project because it's going to change their life. It's sending the gospel worldwide, and I believe it's making a big difference.
Andrew, let me say thank you to, we've had 10 new elite partners while we were talking.
Wow.
And we just had a $4,000 one-time gift, so people are giving, and we appreciate it.
And I'm sure that there'll be others. I know some of you are praying about it, and so I just want to say thank you in advance. And praise God, it's awesome what God's doing. So thank you, Billy, for being a part, and not only tonight, but I mean all of your negotiating. If we had to pay, I don't even want to think what I'd had to pay him if he was our real estate agent doing this deal, because he's put a lot of hours in. And to get their expertise and stuff, I mean, it's just a God deal. So thank you all very much, Paul, for being a part of it. And thank you for being a part. God bless you. And we are going to expand and see God's will for Charis Bible College fulfilled with no limitations. Amen.
Amen.